Hi, this is Cheryl, and welcome to my stamping classroom. Today I'm going to show you how to make this fun fold Valentine. It's called an arrow card, and as you can see, it looks like an arrow. And it's quite unique looking and a lot of fun to make. This can also work as a wedding or anniversary card. So let's get started. The supplies you'll need real red ink, you'll need these resin hearts. You will also need a 3D floral embossing folder. And today I used these two stamp sets meant to be in heartfelt, both found in the annual catalog. I also used some red foil, which unfortunately is retired, but you could use red paper, a scrap of basic white, a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 of the True Love DSP, and then basic white cut at 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4. You will also need to use the classic label punch and then the heart punch pack, which again is found in the annual catalog. Additional items, you will need a ruler, a pencil, and your bone folder. So to begin with, we're going to take your card base, which is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and we're going to fold it in half at 4 1/4. Now this is the front outside and this is the front inside. So we are going to mark the front inside of your card. So what I'm going to do is take half of the width. So 1/2 of 5 1/2 is 2 3/4, and I'm going to mark that. Now on each side, this is 4 1/4, and so half of that is 2 1/8, and I'm going to mark it on either side. And this is going to give us the guidelines for scoring. Now this is an overview of what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be scoring from the 2 3/4 down to the 2 1/8, and also from the 2 3/4 down to the 4 1/4. So you'll need your stamping trimmer, and I'm going to line up that dot, that mark that I made in the center, and I'm going to line that up with the score line, which is the 4 1/4 inch line. And I am going to line those two up together so that they are in the center of the track. I'm going to use the gray scoring blade and score that. Then I'm going to twist it, keeping that center dot on the track and lining it up with the 2 1/8. And I will be scoring that with the gray scoring blade. Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side, the 2 3/4 down to the 4 1/4 score line, and then to the 2 1/8 mark. So now we're going to fold it. So you're going to open up your card, and this is going to be on the inside of the card. You're going to fold on that second score line. And you need to use your bone folder to burnish it, because you want this to lay nice and flat. And then you're going to fold back the first score line. And you're going to do exactly the same on the other side. And you will be forming a point on this. So we're just going to fold it back and score it. Now when you close the card, you'll see that it forms an arrow. And burnish this real well too with your bone folder. Okay, next what we'll be doing is cutting the designer series paper. Now this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to mark the halfway point at the 5 1/4, which is 2 5/8, and I'm going to cut it down to the corner. Now sometimes it's a little hard to see, so you may have to use the opposite side of your paper, but again you'll take your ruler and you'll mark it with a pencil. And then you will take it to your cutter, line up that middle mark that you've made down to the lowest corner, and this time you will cut it. And you'll do that on both sides. and this will let your DSP fit perfectly inside your card. So when you're done, you'll have 3 triangles. You'll have 2 right triangles and 1 other triangle, and they fit on the card like this. You can either use the same side or you can flip, either one, the center or the 2 sides. So I am going to use liquid glue because that gives you a little bit of wiggle room. You can kind of adjust it before it dries. So I'm using the Tombow multi-purpose glue, and as you can see, I get a little bit too much on there. If that happens, just take a scrap piece of paper and wipe it down or off of the paper. So I'm going to adjust this, and I'm going to line it up the best way I can, and it is a very narrow cut, but it's easy to get on. So now I'm going to take the side pieces, and since I have the flower side up, I'm going to put the pattern side up. Again, I'm using my Tombow glue, and I'm going to attach that to either side of the inside of the card, lining it up with the edges. Okay, now we're going to have to glue these flaps down. They're too flappy. So I like to use my tear and tape because that is very strong and there's a lot of pressure on this folded paper. So what you do is you put your tear and tape on the side that is going down, not on the side that it's attached to. So you just attach that and then fold it and remove them, and now your card is laying very flat and is nicely situated. Next, I'm going to take the red foil and cut out the hearts, and then I also ran those through the embossing folder to give them some texture. Now I'm cutting out the larger scalloped heart. These 2 hearts layer very nicely together and look really pretty. And then with this little, I'm just going to layer the red heart on top of the white heart. And then the rest of the scrap paper, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And this, I used teeny itty bitty greetings. And I'm just stamping that on a small piece of the scrap. And I'm going to use my classic label punch to punch it out, so I don't have to worry about keeping it straight. Okay, so now we've got pretty much the outside taken care of. Now we're going to stamp the inside of the card. Again, I'm using my Real Red ink, and I'm using this sentiment, and then I will be stamping 2 more hearts on there. And these 2 hearts would work perfectly for decorating the envelope. So now I am just going to adhere the hearts together, layering them. Now I'm going to be attaching the hearts to the front of the card. 1 heart I'm going to adhere flat, just with my adhesive. The other heart I'm going to be using dimensionals. And make sure you use all of your dimensionals, even the edges. They work out very nicely to use as dimensionals, and even though they're odd shaped, nobody knows because they're behind it. And I especially like to use the edges for these thin, narrow sentiments because they fit just perfectly behind the sentiment. and they give it a good solid lift. Okay, we're nearing the end of this card. So just to finally finish off the card, I'm going to use these red resin hearts, and it's just adding 2 to either side, and it just gives the card a little something something. And there, your card is complete. It was real fun and easy to make. Now I want to show you another sample. Now this is an arrow card that I made where the paper was cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Again, it's half of the half. And you mark it exactly the same way using the dimensions, similar dimensions. Thanks for stopping by today, and let me know if you have any questions. Bye.